And welcome, this is Mike from FX Hive, the Houdini guy. Today I want to take a deeper look on the shooter asset that is also available on the website digitalalchemist.com. So what can you do with a shooter asset? Actually, you can shoot things like cubes or geometry. You can make impact points on that geometry, and all that is a very good approach to a production where you need bullets, impacts, or other elements that are used in an action movie. Okay, let's get started here with this awesome asset. To load the asset inside of Houdini, you go to the File tab here, go to Import, and go to the Houdini Digital Asset tab. Here you can enter the asset OTL, which you downloaded and can install and create it in Houdini. What you get when this asset is installed is actually one node, the shooter node here. So in the shooter node, what you do first is create an input node. This input node is actually the way where you put your geometry inside the system of the shooter. So I already did this here. And as you can see, I have the box above the object node, which means that the object you want to shoot at needs to be at the first level of your node tree here. We also have a subdivision node here, which subdivides 10 times this cube and pipes it then into a paint node, where you can paint your impact points onto the object. So, to do that, go to background color, choose the black color, and hit apply to all. But not to forget, before you can do that, you need to add vertex normals here in your box. Alright, when you have painted all the impact points, you can see them here, those little white dots. Go back to the shooter asset and go right to the input area where you put the object here with this button into your system. In the input hit area, you're gonna choose the out node, which is actually nothing else than a null in your system, and you can start right away. So what the system is doing for us, it creates the pattern of impacts, which means where is 1, there we have the first impact, 2, 3, 4, and so on. That means that we can, for example, scale the markers to make the impacts a bit larger or smaller, and we can adjust the distance of the marker when you want to post-proceed some impacts later on. So I have here the show icon, and I'm showing all the hits of your object. So when we go to the hit area, you can see that there are little bumps inside this cube, and those bumps define the radius of your impact area. You can choose that here with the hit area radius. The larger they get, the larger the impacts will be. We also can define the depth of our impact when it's a very hard bullet or a special object that slams into a wall, whatever you need. So I make that fairly deep, and I now go to the fractures, and it's calculating the fracture impact points right away. You can see those are our impact points, our fractures. This is how they look like. We also can adjust the fracture points. I have 1000 at the moment. And you can do some explode style to see how it looks when they get smashed out of the wall. I keep that to 0 now. And I go right down the stack into our velocity. And we have a multiplier of 2. And when you hit this normal button here, you can see the path of the velocity, how fast and how strong they are created. So I'm gonna put that to 4. And the influence also gives us adjustments on the normals. The roughness here gives us the ability to make the velocity a bit more jiggle. So the static object with the impact points is here, where you can create VDB voxel size, bounce, friction, all the good stuff for your impacts. Now I go to simulation, and here you can see what the physical density is doing. We can show some ground. We need to reposition the ground. I do that with hitting the mouse button and scrolling the wheel, the mouse wheel. And here you can see the geometry file, where the geometry file is saved out. So I'm gonna start the simulation soon. So make sure you have a start and end point. And when you save to disk, the whole simulation is cached out. But before I do that, I go to the debris panel, and we can show the points and the birth rate. We have a birth rate of 3000, a scale of 2, and a seed of, let's say, 25. So you see that you have a lot of functions, you have a lot of freedom, a lot of abilities here to shape your impact points and your debris points. So this is a very nice approach for impact shooting, and it's done actually very quick. I mean, the whole setup took about 5 minutes, and what I do now is caching out the simulation. So I'll be right back. Okay, right back here at FX Hive and Mike the Houdini guy. As you can see, the simulation has rendered, or better has simulated. And we go in our tab here to the render tab. Before we can see what's going on, we need to make sure that our simulation is loaded from disk. And as you can see, this is the result showing up. We have at the moment only the debris. And we hit the render button. And as you can see, we also have the debris here. So now with the fractures rendered and simulated, we have a result that is something like this. As you can see, the impacts are pretty decent. And I'm gonna rotate a bit around that cube, and you see here, you can see the Voronoi patterns. Voronoi is an algorithm about destruction and fracturing, and it's using some mathematical patterns to split objects and fracture them. So you can Google that up, Voronoi patterns, and then you find quite a lot about this technique here in several 3D packages. You have them in 3ds Max and Thinking Particles, and also in Houdini. They all use quite the same approach. So I hit start again, and you can see the fractures are coming out, and they collide automatically with the floor. And that's pretty much it for this simulation. To make that looking a bit interesting, I'm gonna add some quick skylight in from the sky tab here. And to render this, I go to the render tab over here and create a mantra render node. Then I go into the render view tab, assign my camera. Oh, we don't have a camera. Oh my god. That's not the end of the world. Okay, we have a new camera here. I zoom in. And don't forget to hit the locker here, so your camera stays in place. Okay, now I can change it to render the camera, and I make some adjustments. We have a pixel filter of Gaussian, which is quite a bit, soft. I choose a Catmull, which is pretty sharp. You may know him from 3ds Max, Catmull Rom, the creator of the awesome animation hand from the 70s of the last century. And in the rendering tab, I put the pixel samples to 4 to have some decent rendering. And maybe we take physically based rendering and see how that looks. Hit render now. Boy, be back. Okay, the rendering is done, and this is pretty much just a glimpse of the iceberg, what you can achieve with the renderings of your shooting asset. So I assigned some mantra surface in the debris fracture inside an object node, and this is defining in the render tab how your object is looking. So you can see everything is flying around, everything looks good. And that's it actually. So when you have questions, when you want to make some points on the assets or tutorial, just write me a mail or like this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun for me because last time I had a very bad cold. I'm sorry for this. I was sneezing all the way through the universe, and now it's going better. All right, you can see the impacts here. We have the debris here. Everything is actually like we wanted. I mean, you have so many options with this shooter asset. You can change the impact size, the depth, the look of your object. You can actually shatter almost every object. You not just need to make sure your UVs are set up and all the good stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like, don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day, have a nice week, and enjoy your life. See ya!